What impacts our own art, be that personal or professional, can manifest in a variety of ways. Joyful seasons can produce colorful work, while life's unexpected turns can yield something more introspective. Painter Ashley Spitsnogle has produced works that celebrate many of life's big achievements, and in many cases, these works have been painted live in front of an audience. But her own experiences that have brought heartbreak have influenced her art as well. What's Ashley's secret to making sure all the pieces come together? You'll find out in this episode of the Wendy Crafts podcast. Hello and welcome to Wendy Crafts, the podcast where we heal through the creative work of our hearts and our hands. I'm Wendy Townley, and for over a decade, crafting has given me resilience, purpose, and strength. On today's episode, you'll meet Nebraska artist Ashley Spitsnogle. She's best known for her live painting, often found at fundraisers and community events around the country. There's a special approach woven from her own experiences that brings Ashley's artwork to life. Well, welcome to the Wendy Crafts podcast. Ashley, thank you for coming in studio today for a great conversation. I discovered your artwork and you through a mutual friend. And after a few conversations we had initially, I was really intrigued to have you come in and share your story. So thank you again for making the time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It was nice meeting you the other day. And
Yes.
I felt good energy from you.
We had good vibes.
Yeah. So I was like, absolutely, I want to do that.
Yes, that's key. As I'm learning, that's key for a good interview is the good vibes.
Absolutely.
So. Well, we'll get to your artwork and your unique approach to art in like a very public way shortly. But I want to take a couple steps back for our audience today and talk about your time studying in Florence, Italy. Because when we chatted, from what you shared, it sounded like it was a pretty transformational experience. And just the idea of being able to focus on your art sounds wonderful. So tell us more about that, how that opportunity presented itself, and as an artist, what you learned while you were there.
So I went to Doane College. And at Doane, I don't know if they still do this, but they had interterms. And so one of the places that we went was Italy and France. So I was first introduced to Florence from the interterm in college.
Okay.
Short amount of time we were there, fell in love with the city. And when I was getting ready to graduate, an opportunity came up. One of the professors let me know about that it was a study abroad for a month, and it was in Italy, in Florence. And so Valerie Noble, she helped me kind of figure it all out and applied for it, got in. And so, yeah, when I graduated, I headed off to Florence by myself, met some people on the airplane, and actually got upgraded to first class because they overbooked economy, which was amazing way to travel international.
I mean, and just for the first foray into it on your own, that's validation that you made the right choice.
Yeah, I got one of the seats that I got to just, lay down in. And so that started the trip off great.
It could have gone all downhill from there, but first class.
Nope. Yep. Met some great people. The first, connected with 3 or 4 people right away, and they were my friends the entire time. We did stuff all the time. But yeah, it was going there and meeting people from all over the country and world. There were people there from Australia and different countries also. It was pretty eye-opening. And then to have instructors that one of the instructors, he was a disciple or worked underneath Jeff Koons. Okay. And so he was our drawing instructor, but he was also, different artists will have people, they'll design the project and then they'll have people that actually do the work for it. That's what Jose did. Okay. And so that was maybe the first time I met somebody at that level doing art and how much money he was making. And so that was very cool to see that. And then to go in each day and have some instructions, but then be released into the city to do art on location for 8 hours a day. I absolutely loved it. And so that's where I kind of really decided that I wanted to do this as a career, because I did want to do art as a career, but I didn't really know maybe what to do, or is this something I really want to do? And it kind of solidified that for me, that I could draw for 8 hours and the time passes and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
And enjoying it also, enjoying it doing it, but enjoying my surroundings and enjoying the people that were around me and what I was creating, and to, when you get towards the end, and to have it detailed out and have it actually become something. Mm-hmm. And then we would go back and we'd have critique. And so I learned a lot through that as well, of taking critique and
the feedback.
You could do better at this. And, you know, like it hurts a little, but it also, I still remember certain things that was said. And so, yeah. And then we did painting, and we went on location, and it was just beautiful. And it was a very, very cool experience. We went to castles, we rode horses. I mean, it was art, but it was also these other things that
the experience.
Yeah.
And you were there for about a month.
Yes.
Okay. Talk to me about the Ashley you were when you boarded that first class seat, and then the Ashley you became just a month later. Because I think as an artist, being able to just spend so much time into this practice that you love can be transformational in so many ways. So obviously you as you shared, you had a confirmation that I want to pursue this for my life. But how else did that experience change you?
In college, we would have drawing assignments where we'd go in and, you know, do the drawing or do the painting assignments. And I always did that, but I wasn't doing extra usually. Mm-hmm. So I would say that this experience, I was doing extra.
Okay.
And it was applauded, or, you know, it was acknowledged, and I wanted to do extra. It wasn't that I had to, I wanted to. Like, I was excited to do extra paintings when I was there. I was excited to take photos, to come back and do extra paintings. So I think it just elevated the excitement of wanting to paint instead of having to do it. So yeah, that's kind of, I went into it maybe thinking more of, I'm doing this as an assignment, or I need to do this, which when I'm doing commissions, that's kind of what you do. However, I try to have a different mindset of why am I doing this? So I take it back to, if I'm doing a picture of someone that passed away, that's my why. Mm-hmm. I'm doing this because the family, it might not be my favorite thing to paint a portrait like that of a person I don't know. However, the why is, this is going to touch a lot of lives, and it's going to bring a lot of joy, or a lot of, like, so I have to track it back to all that. So, that I kind of circled around in different ways.
That's okay. But it was labeling it, and it definitely presented something different for you. And I think that's what's so wonderful. Again, when myself included, we discover what we love to do creatively. And it's more than just, I have to do it, but I want to do it. And then I want to pick my own path.
Yes.
I definitely feel that way with my card making and scrapbooking and other creative projects like that. Mm-hmm. When I can tell when it's feeding me, and it's like, you just want to replicate that feeling all the time.
Like a burning desire to do it. Yeah.
And it doesn't go out. And then
think about it all the time.
That's the universe telling you, you need to follow this.
Absolutely.
And I think too, not even fully understanding where it's going to take you, that's kind of part of the fun, is because you love it, you really can ultimately trust yourself in that discovery. Well, you kind of hinted at it already, which is something else I definitely want to spend time talking about today, is one of the things you're best known for is painting live at different events. And essentially what that looks like is you are hired and you are there for the duration of the event, which could be several hours, and you're creating a painting from start, getting pretty closely to the finish. Mm-hmm. And from what you've shared, people are coming up, and it's not as if you're off to the side and no one can talk to you. People will come up and interact with you. What I would love for you to talk about is, anyone who would see you painting can understand what you're doing. And if they're artists themselves, we can see the process that you're taking from start to finish. What's going on inside of you during these live painting events that we don't see?
So for live painting, I get a lot of questions of, are you nervous? Is it I don't know if I could do that in front of 800 people.
But here you are doing it.
And so how I respond to that, or I'm very well prepared before I come. I know what I'm going to paint. I visualize it prior, kind of like in athletes or just really anything. When people are doing a presentation, you visualize so that I'm prepared enough to when I am doing it, it's almost like in the flow. I'm very hyper focused. And I do talk to people, but it is something where I'll talk for a second. Okay, now I need to get back to this. I only have 3 hours. And people are absolutely fine with that. But yeah, it's just there's something that takes over me where I only have a certain amount of time, and I want it to look good by the time it's auctioned off or by the time the event is over. And so, yeah, there's just certain things where I just am like, how can I make this in the whole painting come together good enough for it to be shown to everybody at the end? And so it's kind of thrilling in a way, because it is this performance. It's a challenge, and it's a challenge that I'm like, I accept, even though you did this to yourself, Ashley. Remember that, like that's
the best motivation.
Yes. And I do get nervous, but the nerves are because I want to do a really good job. But yeah, when I am actually painting, it is kind of I almost become a little bit more calm, because I am just so hyper focused on shapes and shadows. And it's not even what I'm painting. Like it's having it develop, and a lot of it's lining things up. And so a lot of it's just proportions. And so. And
these are big scale pieces that you're working on. These are not like, an 8x10 small canvas. They're sizable.
The largest I've painted live was at Cattlemen's Ball of Nebraska, and it was a 4 foot by 5 foot.
Wow.
And that was pretty large. But one of the hardest, two of the hardest, I just recently painted for the Jet Award with Johnny Rogers, and they had me paint the eye back high, which is five running backs that went to Omaha Central. So they're all really good running backs. So 5 people in 3 hours. That was pushing my limits. I probably won't do 5 people in 3 hours again, just for quality purposes. But that was something where I'm like, maybe just one person or 2 people the next time,
Lesson learned.
And then the Memorial Stadium, and that was super cool, but also elements of wind blowing and the lighting changing from light to dusk. And, so those were, just kind of like,
It's different factors.
Yes.
Right. And certainly I can envision, and even just with projects I've worked on, nothing to that scale, but you have to become, mentally different when you're publicly knowing you could interact with people, but then also versus when you're just working in your own studio on your own time, on your own schedule. And if you're, depending on how you're feeling that day, you may, I'm sure, gravitate towards one piece or one portion of the piece versus the other. So I just love that idea, and the fact that you're bold enough to do something like this in a big way, because you're, as the joke goes, you're showing us how the sausage is made, but you also understand you still need to pause and speak with who briefly.
Yep.
But I love that you have talking points that say, okay, it's been 10 minutes. You got to go.
Yep. And my mother helps a lot. So she likes to come and help and get me water, but she will talk to them. She loves to brag about me anyways.
I'm sure she does.
It works out. I'm like, here's my mom. Yeah. She'll answer your questions.
You give her the look, and then she pulls them aside.
Yeah.
Well, what I've seen online of your pieces, they are beautiful. And the size and scope is what's just incredible about, especially with these live events, what you accomplish.
Well, thank you.
I love, again, just your approach to art, and what you've shared already today is how much it's become a part of you and it shaped who you are. Can you tell me about a time when your art has entered into your life as a form of healing or a safe space just for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's been different times, but probably a more recent time was I went through a pretty big breakup, and there's a lot of pieces with family like this. You miss a lot of elements of what the relationship was with, you know, your life is different. Mm-hmm. And so, art, going in and kind of being consumed by a painting. One of them that I painted pretty quickly after, it was like not a long time after, was the Terence Crawford one. And that was something where I saw him fight for the first time. I've known about, but I've just never really watched fighting. I've known about him, and I was invited to a friend's watch party, and these guys have watched him since he was from the beginning. They are real legit fans, followers, you know.
The diehard.
So I got to experience watching him beat arrow spins through their eyes, and the goosebumps I had the entire time. I knew I had to paint after that. And so that I became very obsessed with painting this and painting it fast. But that was it really took my mind when I had a lot of anxiety. It took my mind off of that, and it went into creating this picture and making sure it became, I wouldn't stop it until I knew it was something that I would be okay showing or putting on my wall, or, you know, just capturing an essence with him. And so that was probably a big time. Yeah, that was about a week of just, I went in all the time, like late at night. And so, yeah, that was kind of actually healing for me in a way of just focusing on, and that was also something where I was honoring him, but I was also honoring Omaha, because people love Terence Crawford, and it is something where Western Nebraska, Omaha, other states. And so it was something where I felt like it was bringing people together as well. I don't know. It was kind of out of body a little bit of painting that. Yeah. So, yeah. And then there's just been with live painting, that is also something that is kind of healing, or my mind is very in flow. And so I'm not in any type of anxiety. I'm not in my head. I'm not ruminating, you know, all these things. And so, yeah, it is something that helps a lot in cooking, you know, just being creative in general. There's because I do have some anxiety. I'm getting better with it, but I've been to therapy for it as well. And so that's something that I've learned about, dropping your shoulders. I've learned about, there's a lot that I've learned about, and I'm a sensitive person. And so I think I'm an overthinker. I think a lot. And so, but it's something I'm working on, and art has definitely helped with that.
I'm seeing such a common theme. Thank you for sharing that and sharing your feelings with regard to that, because I definitely see a common theme just in talking with other creatives as well. We are a very empathetic, we feel a lot. Mm-hmm. That's what really makes us, I think, good at what we do, because we infuse so much of ourselves in that. So we really have to be mindful, and I know myself included, about when I'm creating, what's driving me to create, and what the project looks like before, you know, I envision it, and then when I'm finished, and what's happening to me during. As you were describing it, I was thinking of a recent guest I had on the podcast where she had just lost her mother, and her therapist suggested, and she's not necessarily an artist, but her therapist suggested a practice called what she called rage painting. And she always was, you know, had a creative flair about her, but she said, her name's Tiffany, I just have a lot of feelings that I needed to get out. So she just bought like these little 3x3 and 5x5 canvases and just painted as a form of like self-care and processing the emotions. And then when she was done, if she really hated it, she threw them away. And she said she did most of that just as another form to process, you know, the passing of her mother. And it was such a beautiful moment that she shared, because there was healing that came out of that. And I'm curious, with your example, when you started the Terence Crawford painting, did you enter it with the purpose of healing for you? I mean, did you say like, this is really going to help me get through this breakup, and I'm going to throw myself into it?
No. It was more, it was giving me a purpose. And so.
Very well said. Yes.
So the purpose was to honor an extremely good athlete from Nebraska. And the purpose was to people, I could feel people wanted something like that. People were very excited. They loved watching I'd put some time-lapse videos, but it gave me a purpose when I was feeling a little bit complacent.
Yeah.
And so.
And probably lost.
Yeah.
Your world had shifted.
Yep. So I think, and that's why when I'm doing commissions and abstract, you're talking about abstract, that is something where that is very, I pick colors and I just paint, and that is something that's very healing as well. And that's just kind of, it's very freeing for me, which I haven't painted an abstract in a while, and I'm due for one. But when I'm working on pictures that I know are going to be difficult, like the College World Series one that I'm going to be painting, the purpose behind that is the nostalgia for people. It's the Rosenblatt to the stadium now. It's the experiences that this painting could bring, or the experiences that this could bring up for people, the memories of eating popcorn, the memories of going to all the bars downtown by Rose, so
Zesto's ice cream.
Yeah. So I really take time to I write these down. Like, what is my purpose of painting this? It's not just a painting. There's a purpose behind it. So when I'm structured by that, it's exciting instead of having to do this, or not saying, but for other paintings, maybe I'm not as excited to do. It gives me an excitement there. So.
And recognizing too, which I think is so important to anything that we create, that we put out into the world, the hope is that it has an emotional impact on someone who sees it or experiences it. Yeah. I feel that way when I make my greeting cards, and certainly the College World Series piece. People who see what you end up creating, I'm certain it will evoke emotions from their childhood and wonderful memories, and so many institutions like that and experiences that we have, that's tied to memory, and we know memory is tied to our feelings. So I just really appreciate that you're not approaching the project just as like, well, we need to celebrate college baseball. It's much more than that. And for us here in Omaha, it's the place of Rosenblatt Stadium and now TD Ameritrade Park. Like, yes, there's feelings attached to this.
It's a big deal that it's been here for 75 years in Omaha. But yeah, it's more than just a picture, so.
On that note, we've talked about your work and how it has helped you. How has you, and we hinted at with College World Series, but how has something you've worked on helped to heal someone else that you've heard? So one of my favorite pictures that I've ever painted, it's not technically my best picture as in proportionate and all the things, but in 2017 or 18, I was asked to paint live for Heartfelt Incorporated and Seward, and that is for families that have lost children. And I was asked to paint a picture. At first, it was going to be Sam Foltz and the Sadler guy that he was with, and then it became one of him and Brooke Behringer. Jill Foltz actually asked to have Brooke in the picture with Sam, and so I reached out to Jan, made sure she was okay with it. And these are former Husker players. Yes. Yep. That both passed away at different times from different things. So, but the fundraiser is to raise money for families that have lost children. And so when I was asked to paint that, okay, now what am I going to do? Figuring it out. And once I knew what I was going to paint, and then I went there and I had 3 hours, and it was it was very special, and Jill and Gerald were also there. And so to paint that, and then it was auctioned off, and like I said, the fundraiser, it went for grieving and for different things. But the response from people, like Husker fans, their families, and all the families got prints and everything too, but that was really special. It was honoring both of the players and the families, and so I do know that one touched people's lives. People reached out and commented, and
So, and then I did, there's been different ones. Another one that sticks out to me is right after the flooding that happened in Nebraska in 2000, was it 18 or 19? Mm-hmm. I painted live at Cattlemen's Ball of Nebraska in Columbus the next year. And Columbus was one of the biggest areas affected.
I recall, yeah.
And so I didn't want to just paint a normal bowl or a scenery. And so what I ended up doing, and a lot of people helped me with the idea, which is really special, I suggest, just like the College World Series when I'm asking a lot of different people ideas. Mm-hmm. But I ended up painting a couple ranchers with their hands on each other's backs with the train, or like the semis coming in with hay. Mm. And that, when I saw that on the news, that brought tears to my eyes, because they're dropping what they're doing and they're bringing what they can to help people in need. And so that was absolutely what I wanted to portray in a painting. And so painting that at Cattlemen's Ball, there was a lot of ranchers that their herds died in front of them. They couldn't do anything to get them out. And so
that was big on the news. I remember hearing that when they interviewed.
Yeah.
That was a shared experience. And it was terrifying to think that that's that someone has to witness that and there's nothing they can do. Yeah.
On the top of like the hill, like it just is devastating.
Yeah.
And so it was showing, it was a hopeful, it was acknowledging what happened, but it was the hope of humanity. Mm-hmm. And so that one I also, I think touched a lot of people, or gave a little bit of, I don't know what the right word is, but
comfort. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't thought of that since, but as you're describing it, I remember that very vividly in the news, that was one of the hard things is being in Nebraska in the Midwest. There is a lot of rural and agriculture, and there were ranchers and farmers who saw their livestock, and because of the waters that flooded so quickly, there was nothing that could be done. And so I do remember shortly after, there was such a push here in Nebraska, and it even got national coverage of the sense of rebuilding, healing, and hope that you're describing, that was a big part of it. And I think for creatives in general, we are also a breed of people that wants to help however we can. And certainly you being able to step up and help in that way and give people hope, because like you're still capturing the story and capturing the moment, but you're showing through your work what happened after the fact.
And I'm from a farm, my parents' farm,
Okay.
Odell, Nebraska.
So that's close to you.
Very close. And my dad was saying how years ago they were a part of that for another state. Like they were a part of bringing supplies when
they were the helpers.
So it's this full circle. But yeah, it's the farming, ranching, that's very close to me because I grew up around that, and appreciate the hard work and the love that people have for their plants and the livestock. And like, it's not just something that you just sell. Like, no, there's a lot of love that goes into that. And it was wiped out. And so, yeah, that one was a very emotional and special one. So,
well, as we've shared already, the art of creating, and whether it's art, any form of art or any form of creativity, we're giving of ourselves with the end product. And I found, even if I'm working, just on a batch of cards based on whatever is going on in my life at the time, good or bad, it'll deplete me,
Absolutely.
And so one of the things, the older I've got, that I've focused on more, is learning practices to build up that creative reservoir, and also just my own internal self, so that I don't lose the love of what I'm doing and am able to do it, for many days that follow. So I'd love for you to tell us about how kind of when your creative gas tank is getting empty, and then how you refill it. Because especially, with what you do, these are projects you're working on for a long time.
Yeah. So back what you said, the depleting part, I do get very overwhelmed when I'm doing projects like this with people that have passed away, or with the hay, like with the ranchers and the hay. It has been something where I have to kind of like allow myself to be overwhelmed with with what I'm working on, but also the response from people and be appreciative of that. But also, like, one of the things when I did the Brooke Behringer and Sam Foltz, so I sold prints of that and I did donate back to the foundation, but I had a hard time. I was talking to my parents even being okay with taking money from that, because it was like, but then it was also how it was kind of justified in a way is I'm bringing a picture to people that's making people happy and or bringing the comfort, and I still am doing something good. I don't know. It's just, I struggle sometimes when I do a painting that is of someone that passed away or something that's very emotional, making money off of it. However, I get asked to do a lot of things like that. So if I never did, then I couldn't do what I do. Yeah. I'd have to work and do something else. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of it I do allow myself to kind of be overwhelmed with emotion and take a little bit of time to recoup from that, because I do put a lot into paintings like that.
You would have to.
Yeah, and I just recently, I just did one of the Jet Award. Calvin Jones was in the middle, and he recently passed away. And that's also, I don't take those things lightly. Like, I'm honoring a guy that recently passed away, so this is something where I want to do a really good job and honor the person at the best of my ability. Those are never, I don't forget about things like that one. It's not just, I'm just doing this painting. No, this is, you make sure that this turns out okay, Yeah. But for my revamping or filling up, that's something where I think maybe abstract. I'll do some abstract after something like that and just do colors and, I think abstract actually helps me kind of rejuvenate a little bit.
So it's turning to a different form of art, a different form of painting.
And just taking time, making sure I see family and friends, and sometimes go on a little trip or go get a massage, just nothing crazy. But I just try to.
But the good thing, I think, is that you recognize that when you need that. Yeah. And not to just push through and say, oh, no, not today.
Yeah, I'll take a day or a couple days, or just be like, this week is just not going to happen.
I would agree. And I have had those times where I've had conversations with myself based on saying how I'm feeling and is it realistic that I'm going to get this done? Because if I push through on a project just for the sake of getting it done, unless I'm working against a hard deadline, I'm not going to be happy with the final product. Yeah. So give myself permission to refill and be quiet and retreat. And for me, it's like knitting or reading. It's just a very quiet, much slower paced project. So
journaling a little bit, writing down just how I'm feeling. But then also I have like a goal book journal. And then that's where I'll I'm not maybe creating right now, but what is it that I'm going to do in the future? And I structure it to give me, why am I going to do this? And how is it going to affect, blah, blah, so I maybe take time of that. That helps rejuvenate me too. And it helps build up that purpose again.
It reminds you.
Yeah. It reminds me. And but I definitely have to take some time sometimes to.
We do. Yeah. I think in any profession you need to, but especially something creative where you're literally, using yourself and your gifts into the work. It's just there isn't a limitless amount from which to draw. Well, last question I have for you today that you already talked about a little bit is your creative allies. Who in your life do you turn to for creative support, creative affirmation? I would say just to be a creative sounding board.
Yeah. So the art gallery that I paint in, Main Street Studios and Art Gallery, we all do different kind of art. There's a couple painters in there, but we all have our own kind of thing that we do. But I would say I do ask a lot of questions there. Like, hey, what do you think about this? Or we help each other. We give a lot of feedback. My parents, friends, I have some good friends that I a lot of times will go to with, what do you think about this? My brother, actually, he's a mechanical engineer, but he just is good with ideas. And so the CWS that I'm working on, he played baseball at UNL for a while. He's been giving me really good feedback for that. the Josh Otter, which is a book that I illustrated. So the family for that, a lot of times we've always worked really well together because they're really good idea people, and then I can make it happen, tangible. And so there are also people that a lot of ideas I send their way. What do you think about this? And then they're like, well, try this. And so, yeah, I have a lot of different pockets of people. I'm not afraid to ask for help or for suggestions. I take suggestions and I make changes or I make versions, and I don't ever think that it's perfect. I'm always open to people being like, you should add this, or I don't really think that. And okay, yeah, I didn't see it that way. And so, yeah, I have a lot of people that and just recently I've been reaching out to people that I know really like the CWS or really like baseball and asking their opinion that I've never reached out to before, but getting their feedback, hey, it'd be cool if you put the Rosenblatt chairs in there, or this is something that we think about, the overhang of Rosenblatt. Like I didn't think about that, but that'd be cool to have in just a little touch of that, So, I'm not afraid to ask people. So
that's helpful. And that's helpful to hear. And I think as creatives, it can be easy because so much of what we do is done in isolation.
Yeah.
You can very easily work in your studio on your own. I'm working in my craft space on my own. And so many other creatives I've talked to, what we do, unless you're doing it in community, it is very isolating. So having that core community around you that you can turn to is part of the self-care of doing this and really creating work that you're proud of. And I think ultimately what you've already shared in so many great stories beautifully is that the final product is intended, or one of the byproducts of it is to really help heal others and tell a story. And I love what you said for hope. It's so critical. So yeah. Well, thank you, Ashley. This has been a really great conversation. I'm excited to follow your career and see what comes next for you. So thanks again.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You bet. I'd like to again thank my guest, Ashley Spitsnogle, for joining us on the podcast. To learn more about Ashley's approach to painting and art, download the PDF in the show notes. And remember, like, subscribe, and tell a friend about the Wendy Crafts podcast.